How's it going, people? Jack here. We have a video here by a content creator called Raycevick on Ubisoft. Yes, a company that a lot of people love to hate. I grew up on Ubisoft games. I still own a lot of Ubisoft games. I have almost every single entry of games that they put out in my library at what's it called now? Ubisoft Connect. I miss it being called Uplay, but Ubisoft Connect. And I was still engaged in playing a Ubisoft game. One that I like will not be changed. Those cherished memories that I have with them cannot be taken away from me. That being said, it will be extremely hard to see me invest money in a new product that they produce because the Ubisoft dream is dead to me. A lot of the things that I enjoy from them has become comfort food, and the idea of the potential of these games never being realized has killed it all for me. Which is why, based on the title of this video alone, I full-heartedly agree with this video so far. So without further ado, let's just jump into Ubisoft isn't bad, but it's infuriating. And by the way, please subscribe to Raycevick.
The last Marvel movie I've seen is Guardians 1. The closest I've heard the top 40
Not
is
true.
Bring Me the Horizon. I've only seen Game of Thrones with Sean Bean in it. All I know about Book Talk is that it's packed with incest, and being the years later guy, I don't keep up with the latest of AAA games or online services.
In all fairness, from the stuff that I've seen from Book Talk, that we have covered from the channel The Generosity.
Call me a predator if you want to, but riding some young is truly what regulates my blood pressure and keeps my cholesterol down. And that is why I have me not one, but two young on their way to my place.
After seeing that, I had to read this book for myself.
I don't think that we can find a way to redeem him.
I'm not currently playing Call of Duty, I'm not playing League of Legends, I'm not playing Fortnite. There's no
not
hiding
mainstream.
it. I am that cliche. And yet, I've played Tom Clancy's X-Defiant. I've played the
It
Crew
was good.
Motorfest. I've finished Far Cry 6. And I've got dozens more games from this godforsaken company installed.
Wow. Finishing Far Cry 6 is a feat, because that game's progression made me dislike it from the first, 3 hours. But good on him.
And I'm not the only one. I swear the only game my friend
Odyssey.
played for a year was Assassin's Creed Odyssey. The first game another friend bought for their PS5 was Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Even skill
I
up
finished
went
that
to The
one.
Division 2. The way we talk about Ubisoft and the amount we talk about Ubisoft versus how much we engage Ubisoft doesn't make sense. Because it's not just critics, it's not just pros, and it's not just the normies, it's everybody,
Everyone.
including me. There is something about this company, one proudly standing alongside the collection of corporations I ignore, that keep pulling me back in. And I think I finally know why.
2008. That's where I fell in love.
For a generation of gamers, there isn't a world without Assassin's Creed. Ironically, the franchise's success and influence has made the original's impact rather forgotten. But make no mistake, the original Assassin's Creed was a watershed moment for the gaming industry.
Dude, Assassin's Creed came at the right moment. There had been half a decade's span in mostly from the French side of culture that parkour had made a breakthrough. We had the whole movement that David Bell had kickstarted, and then we had movies like Banlieue 13, Yamakasi, and later on the adaptation that was called Brick Mansion that became a thing. Parkour became a culture phenomenon. Then you finally got to see that put in good praxis, not just through games like Mirror's Edge that people obviously did love, but was kind of put on the wayside. Assassin's Creed put that into the forefront through a third-person view, and the digital tourism that people got introduced to from putting that in the past, and also the parallels with the real life or the modern day sections of Assassin's Creed made people really, really like it. That's why I personally think that it just dropped perfectly. And compared to all of the other genres that were focusing on putting out the same things all the time, Assassin's Creed was unique.
At the time, 7th gen consoles, starting with the Xbox 360, had been on the market for 2 years. And while there were a slew of classics already released, like every generation, the first batch of titles were mostly upscaled Xbox games.
Right.
And even the ones that weren't were an extension of them. Almost everything new in Halo 3, from online co-op to equipment, theater, file share, and even Forge mode, were all lifted from Halo 2's cutting room floor.
Yeah.
It's a similar story from Modern Warfare, BioShock, and Mass Effect, but not Assassin's Creed. What began in life as a Prince of Persia spin-off for the PS2 evolved into something that looked like nothing else, played like nothing else, sounded like nothing else, that could only be achieved on this next generation of hardware. It was completely uncharted territory for big-budget games in its protagonists, history, themes, premise, and design. Assassin's Creed overwhelmed E3 because it wasn't just another game, it was a new game.
Yeah, I got mine with my first hard-earned money as a paperboy that I paid for like a year later because it was released later in Europe, and I got it for PC. It was so good.
There was no prior reference for its social stealth mechanics, historic open world, fluid wall climbing, and immersive parkour traversal. It was, in a word, bold. So bold that no matter what kind of gamer you were, maybe not even one at all, you noticed Assassin's Creed, and very likely became one of its 8 million customers. A number that isn't much in a post-GTA 5 world, but pre-GTA 4, an all-new IP in one of the busiest and most acclaimed years in gaming's history, outselling everything Ubisoft had done convincingly, was nothing short of astounding.
Like, you don't realize, 2008, oh my god, beside the how banging of a year for entertainment it was literally the year of superhero movies from either DC with The Dark Knight, Iron Man with the MCU, franchises that never really took off but that really should have their own cinematic universe, Jumper. We even had smaller and competitive imprints like the Magnolia stories of Hellboy. We had Hancock coming out that year, and even another spoof movie that was literally called a superhero movie. So within the entertainment field, there was a shit ton. But in terms of games though, from Dead Space, Gears of War, Left 4 Dead, the aforementioned Mirror's Edge, and name a shooter, there was so much. But then came this one thing and absolutely changed the game. By the way, Crisis Core came out that year too. Shit.
How many big budget games in the past year have not been first-person shooters? You can count them on one hand. When publishers consider that they need to sell over 1 million copies of an Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 game to turn a profit, risk is not generally a part of the equation.
It's fun to hear that when it's literally the same thing that we're experiencing today, but just on steroid.
Shooters are the safe bet these days, and no publisher knows that better than Ubisoft, which is why it's all the more surprising that it went out on a limb with Assassin's Creed, one of the most innovative, imaginative games to be released in years.
The gaming landscape mentioned in old reviews like this is eerily similar to our own. But Assassin's Creed is not. What was once a pillar of the industry in both art and technology has become one of the safest, dumbed-down, milquetoast, and milked franchises in existence.
Yeah.
Yet Valhalla became Ubisoft's first game in the
silly.
company's history to earn $1 billion. Yes, we all know the main reason why, but there's still a significant portion of people, ones highly critical of Ubisoft, nevertheless being seduced. So why then trace this allure to the debut? Because the lesson Ubisoft took from Assassin's Creed wasn't its innovation, technology, or unique mechanics, but that word.
Boom.
The mega publisher we know today wasn't built off of license exclusivity or genre dominance, but a massive 5-year development gamble that paid off. Trouble is, unlike EA or Activision's backbone, you can't repeat that.
No.
You can't boldly push innovation, technology, and unique mechanics
every single time.
Every time, let alone in something as appealing as Assassin's Creed. However, you can repeat what sold Assassin's Creed to millions of people before they would ever have the chance to play it.
The idea.
The thing that made even non-gamers go, wow, I want to play that. The premise. Even just the game's setting, outside any mention of its usage in the actual game, was something that was almost always mentioned in coverage by major media outlets. The same outlets whose final ratings were not nearly as unified as you'd assume for a game that ascended its publisher to new heights. Reading old reviews, it becomes apparent that the score is based upon whether the game's innovation wowed a critic for its 12-hour runtime, or just won. Ubisoft Montreal's boldness inspired an industry. It also caused a lot of problems, both for players and the developers, forced to make sacrifices that ended up causing more problems for its players.
Yeah. There's a lot of features that were hidden in the first game that a lot of people kind of uncovered later on that the game never gets to mention because they had to cut a lot of things short. And that's what happened with so many of the other games in the future, from Watch Dogs to even Unity, which felt like broken games with broken promises. But as you get through the years of people supporting these games, the community being invested and actually wanting to realize the potential of this product, they keep on uncovering new things. Not just things that were added by, let's say, modders, right? Literal files, like in Watch Dogs, that actually realized the game to close to the visual appeal that was showcased during E3, turning Assassin's Creed Unity into one of the most fluid Assassin's Creed games of all times, truly making you feel that slickness that an assassin should have. Ubisoft could have done this, but alas.
But for Ubisoft HQ, this changed nothing. They recognized Assassin's Creed the game was sold by Assassin's Creed the premise. So for Assassin's Creed 2, they sold a premise that could generate even more excitement. And they haven't looked back since.
Notice one thing in Assassin's Creed 2 that will really sell you onto why this thing was the way that it was, is the visuals. The characters' looks, their faces, were never meant to be that way. Like the subtle attempt at realism that some of them have, they are less stylized than, let's say, Assassin's Creed 3 or any of the other expansions that came through the PS3. They are not like that. They were trying to push the envelope way too fast, and they couldn't do it. So again, it was that potential that sold it. And it's not to say that those games were bad necessarily. I mean, I enjoyed the hell out of the Ezio trilogy, but they were clearly trying to innovate way too fast.
Turning an open-world shooter into a 10,000 BC survival game. Building a multi-million-dollar PvP arena with swords and shields. Combating PUBG's dominance by taking inspiration from Titanfall. Converting mainstream action-adventure games into a virtual museum of ancient Greece.
Yeah.
Having you assassinating, commanding, settling, choosing, fishing, fucking, feeding, fighting, riding, rapping, raiding, and assaulting in a Viking game.
The idea, but is it actually how it plays out?
These are all insane premises, ones their competitors would never consider.
Oh, except for Blood Dragon. Blood Dragon was perfect. We're not criticizing Blood Dragon.
And yet they will put them at the very forefront of its top-level marketing. While everyone else is struggling to innovate or even remotely iterate their games, Ubisoft will come along and take their established franchises in directions that'll make anybody, even non-gamers, go, wow, I want to play that. Until they do and realize Ubisoft isn't any different than their competitors at all. Selling you the same thing you've played before, only with more bugs, more bloat, more grinding, and more microtransactions.
Yeah.
I appreciate Far Cry 6's iterations. The slide mechanic, its unique weapons, expanded customization, brutal animations, new vehicles, and voiced protagonists. But none of those things can address busted scripting, obnoxious menus, ham-fisted progression, cynical payments, or the sheer number of fundamentals, from AI to optimization and mission design, that haven't improved since a game I played as a 14-year-old boy. A game heavily criticized for its repetition, only to have its 13-year-old successor have you loot the same metal, plastic, and gas canisters at every single base. And this is exactly what I mean. Far Cry 6 isn't bad. It's infuriating, because this game is appealing. Yara is the best map in this franchise. Gorgeous enough to stop me in my tracks, yet varied enough to compile all of Far Cry's backdrops, almost, into a single cohesive world. From the breadth of its soundtrack to the superbly directed cutscenes and majesty of its art style, even details down to just hearing Danny hum to songs on the radio. I've played soulless games. I've played soulless games by Ubisoft. This isn't it.
Some people will have noticed that sometimes when editing videos, I will make use of soundtracks for video games as background music, especially during my commentary. And I've seen some in the comment section say like, hey, is that a soundtrack from Far Cry 6? Yes, I might not like the game, but there are some things that are freaking banger in there, especially when it comes to the music. And that's the thing that I hate about Ubisoft. There's so much that I want to like, but I'm always left feeling like, what the fuck happened? Why did I not reach that peak that I desired? Like, oh, and it feels like such a wasted potential when you have amazing artists that are willing to render such beautiful vistas for you to see, to explore, to utilize in the gameplay. But it's just left void.
But it's also not an overall improvement on the franchise's critical and commercial peak, nor its predecessor. This backdrop and the awesome premise of being a guerrilla fighter helping to build a revolutionary army against a tyrannical dictatorship are just as compelling as the franchise's icons. But the additions that convey those things are dirt pathways, weapon holstering, hub stores, baby outposts, and the minigun from Lawbreakers. Compared to jammed weapons, immersive HUD, factions, buddies, and yes, malaria, there's a notable difference in how these games realize their premise. One devotes all effort to placing you inside of it, the other sells it like a theme park.
Like, I could get it if this was a Just Cause game. Like, yeah, I'm just here to cause as much chaos as possible to make use of insane weaponry in creative ways. But Far Cry is not quite that. I want to feel that revolutionary that gets actually immersed in the world. Like, there's a reason why, with all the criticism that Far Cry 5 got, the game overall was not looked down upon. It was brilliant. Because finally, we could look back at it and be like, Ubisoft got it right.
Just like games I've covered previously, these things don't feel like designs that developers dreamed about their whole career to finally realize in a big budget game, but ones that could fit an 18-month deadline. And just like before, that's because it was.
Far Cry 6 was originally designed as a game of service. Was originally designed with like one of the pillars being multiplayer burst. And then we start to see the market going, ooh, a little bit shaky on the game of service. And then the scope of Far Cry 6 was huge. And then Far Cry 6 didn't have a creative director to add to it. And they go like, you know what, let's make just a solid Far Cry. And this is why Far Cry 6, for people that play Far Cry 6 and it's their first Far Cry, I think they enjoy it. But people that have been playing the franchise for a long time, they say, oh, it's just another Far Cry.
And that goes for many other Ubisoft titles then. Like, I've seen that with Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Wildlands, you could make the argument of almost being the same, but that game was at least functional. Breakpoint was such a buggy mess. It's only, again, years later, after it came out, that I've seen people actually being dedicated into making it into something that is genuinely good.
Talking to Santiago, one of the game's level designers, Far Cry 6 makes a lot more sense. Alternate pathways have been traveled down hundreds of times. Weapon holstering to avoid suspicion would have been suitable to any game in this series. Hub stores don't feel like building a home for revolutionaries, and using pre-made drip-fed weapons don't feel like being a revolutionary.
Yeah.
But they approximate the premise just enough to sell it. And that's why Far Cry 6 is so infuriating. It's got development artistry, or publisher cynicism. It wants to evolve, but isn't permitted to. Its originality can appear on a postcard, but not the destination itself. Any boldness in a Ubisoft game today only exists as far as it needs to cover up Ubisoft's bullshit. What is Ubisoft's bullshit?
Well, maps.
I can't imagine anybody asking this question.
Small
Endless
dotted lines.
notifications, awful introductions, awful character creation,
Yeah.
copy-paste side activities, copy-paste game mechanics, load screens, vomiting exposition, load screens, server connection.
Fucking Riders Republic. Oh my god, you play steep. Dude, I was so on when Riders Republic came out. And the game is good. The game is good. But what the fuck, Ubisoft?
Server disconnections, bars, 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 filler, 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 mind-numbing progression, multiple currencies, shit vehicles, obnoxious menus, pointless hub worlds, unskippable messages, and of course, I fucking love the POV camera in Riders Republic.
Hey!
Mountain bikes in particular, straight up, might be the best sense of speed I've ever felt in a game.
Bro.
And I'm a Burnout fanboy. After so many years of missing out on the genre after Tony Hawk and SSX got left behind, I was excited to play a seamless co-op open-world multi-discipline extreme sports game with a group of friends. Only it never happened. Instead, we're railroaded through an opening that says, it's not about me,
It's about you.
Just to waterboard you with Instagrammers in a hub. Shoving your face with notifications and tutorials telling you how to ride after you've been riding for 10 minutes. And with every notification or voice character won't give you control of the map. And this raises a question. Why do people who otherwise forgo games which are similarly obnoxious put up with it in Ubisoft games if all of them have their trademark bullshit?
We're used to it.
And I think there's a simple answer. Bias. I'm drawn to first-person shooters in grounded but stylized worlds with vehicles, customization, multiple playstyles, and satisfying weapons. That's Far Cry.
Yeah.
And has been since 2008. Maybe even earlier than that, back when I started. Far Cry is comfort food. Even when I'm wishing it'd do several things differently,
there it is.
I can
That's the
kick
word
back
I
and
used to
fall into
begin
the
with.
groove of clearing outposts with that baseline premise serving as my hook. But I'm less interested in modern military settings. Not apathetic, they're just not my forte. As a result, Ghost Recon Post-Future Soldier doesn't really hold my interest. Clue, meanwhile, he makes and hosts custom Arma missions. So he's put a bit of time in a Ghost Recon breakpoint. Because
Dang.
in spite of Ubisoft's bullshit, one can put up with it if the core game is their jam. Which Ghost Recon is for a lot of people, and it makes sense why. Think about it. If you're looking for an open world co-op modern military game, what are your options? Tarkov?
That's mean.
Oh my god, this.
I mean, in light of what the developer has said, maybe not so much, but god damn it.
Speed hackers. That had to be hacking.
Whenever someone buys a Ubisoft game, it's not that they think it won't have the bullshit, only that with their biases met, it might not be enough to ruin their overall enjoyment. I completed Far Cry 6. I played dozens of hours of the crew. I blitzed through multiple Assassin's Creeds in a week. And of course, I put 500 hours into a live service that I will never get back.
Literally one of the first things that I do now in a Ubisoft title, when I go back to them, turn off the HUD completely. Remove every single element. And I do that now in every single game. In my last stream, I think when playing freaking Hitman, I got freaked the fuck out because I turned off every single element in there because I just got tired.
Yet it's why the lasting emotion I had when walking away from all of these games was relief. Free from the notifications, grinding, and depressing constant of lost potential. Investing time into games that allow artists to use their creativity for more than window dressing. Or just a game that's more interesting to talk about. Y'all are more likely to get Halo Wars years later from me than an analysis on any mainline Ubisoft game in the last 10 years. But I'll pay $10 for one. Repeatedly. Because there is an amazing premise with a rock-solid core that'll grant me glimpses of something greater its owners will never, ever facilitate.
Wait for the discount.
To use their budgets, technology, and talent for realizing game mechanics in a bold way that actually matters. Except when they do. And then, what's going to follow that bold, boundary-pushing technological marvel that nobody else would have dared to fund, let alone release? The safest, blandest, most cliche capitalization of that success.
The amount of people who I see cry, I don't say it straight up, cry over the death of Rainbow Six Siege, like from what it started as to being turned into yet another Fortnite-like game. It's wild. Like, it could have literally, Ubisoft could have made Ready or Not. They could have done this. But hey.
Are EA, Activision, or Microsoft better than this? No. They're just not so infuriating. It's not even that Ubisoft gives me hope. I've not bought a game from them in its launch year, let alone launch window, since Rainbow Six Siege. But they sell hope, and that's enough to sell. I sometimes wish Ubisoft was worse. Nobody would give them a thought, let alone a credit card, if the company made Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, D&D Dark Alliance, Fast and Furious Crossroads, Metal Gear Survive, or Gollum.
But God, I need to play the new Skate game. I hear that it's ridiculously stupid.
They don't. Instead, they make a top-notch side-scroller, last year's actual best in genre. A COD game that listens to its players?
It was good.
Continued support for Track fucking Mania? And a VR spinoff that
actually slaps.
Good? Wow. This company is really on a roll
No. Don't get your hopes up. Don't ever say that. Don't ever go like, Ubisoft finally listened. No.
You know, I'd like it if one of the richest companies in this industry encouraged original games. Bold games, powerful games, complete games, without compromise. It sounds nice. But the writing's on the wall. That rewarded Ubisoft once. Whereas a compromised game with the marketing of originality, boldness, power, and completion, that's been rewarded a lot more than once.
That doesn't make the big box.
So while I don't think Ubisoft games are bad, I completely get the sentiment. People are just rightfully venting their frustration after being burned time and time and time again. Thing is, while Valhalla was a massive success, many of Ubisoft's recent games haven't been.
Yeah.
And I wonder if part of that is people not falling for this trick anymore.
Oh yeah.
That no matter how cool or unique a premise is, the game will never be allowed to realize that. You can do worse than Ubisoft. There's worse games, franchises, workplaces, and ideas. But so what? Because it's not that Ubisoft is bad. It's that for millions of people, they might as well be.
Hope for Ubisoft. until they do a complete 180 in the structure they have going on right now, because the most important things for them would be to actually work on a solid game. They need to have a complete change in like the faith that they will get from fans. Like they need to reach back that point where people genuinely, regardless of where of any walks of life that they come from, are genuinely excited for a game from them to release. Because these companies seriously had a lot of potential from IPs that they themselves had created, and not everything that they borrowed from the man who's currently rolling in his grave going by the name Tom Clancy. Anyways folks, thank you so much for checking out this video. As always, please do make sure to go and subscribe to the original creator of this video, Raycevick. I hope that I'm pronouncing this correctly. I've seen a video of his before, the one with Control. I'm pretty certain that it was him who made that one essay. Pretty freaking good one. So he has a lot of good videos in his catalog, so please make sure to check them out. That being said, wish you all to have a wonderful day. See you guys in the next one. Bye.